The colony ship Perseverance had been orbiting Kepler 442b for 3 weeks when Jixon volunteered for the surface expedition. He wasn't a soldier or a scientist, just a botanist tired of recycled air and artificial gravity. The planet's atmosphere read as breathable, the flora non-toxic and the fauna seemingly docile. Command approved a small research camp in the northern grasslands, where purple vegetation swayed like Earth's wheat fields under twin moons. Elsa arrived 2 days after Jixon set up base camp. She was a xenobiologist with sharp eyes and sharper instincts, someone who could identify an organism's threat level by the way it moved. Together, they cataloged 17 species in the first week alone. None aggressive, all curious. The locals, as they called them, were the Valarii, bipedal creatures with chitinous exoskeletons that shimmered like oil on water, their faces elongated with compound eyes that reflected emotions through color shifts. The Valarii kept their distance, watching from the tree line with what seemed like scientific interest of their own. Jixon found it unnerving. Elsa found it fascinating. "They're studying us like we're studying them," she said one evening, adjusting the field scanner. "Parallel evolution of curiosity. That's remarkable." "Or terrifying," Jixon muttered, hammering another stake into the ground for his personal tent, a small dome separate from the main research structure. He valued his privacy, especially after long days of sample collection. That night he sealed himself inside the empty tent, exhausted. The fabric walls glowed faintly from the exterior lights, casting everything in soft amber. He ran a perimeter check on his data pad. No movement detected within 50 meters. Satisfied, he crawled into his sleeping bag and let sleep take him. Jixon woke to warmth. Not the ambient warmth of the tent's climate control, but a heavy living warmth pressed against his chest. His eyes snapped open. The tent's interior was still dim, the twin moons casting double shadows through the fabric. And there, curled atop him like an oversized cat, was a Valarii. But not just any Valarii. This one was massive, easily twice the size of the ones they'd observed. Her exoskeleton was deeper in color, swirling with patterns of gold and crimson that seemed to pulse with bioluminescence. Most striking were the markings along her cranial ridge, intricate, ceremonial, unmistakably regal. Her compound eyes were half closed, and from somewhere deep in her thorax came a sound that could only be described as purring, a rhythmic, resonant vibration that Jixon felt in his bones. He froze. Every xenobiological protocol screamed at him to stay still, to not startle a potentially dangerous organism. But his heart hammered so loud he was certain she could hear it. The Valarii queen, because that's clearly what she was, shifted slightly, adjusting her position on his chest. One of her forearms draped across his shoulder, the chitinous digits surprisingly gentle. The purring intensified. Jixon's mind raced. How had she entered? The tent was sealed. Motion sensors should have triggered unless she'd been sophisticated enough to bypass them. Which meant intelligence. Which meant intention. He barely dared to breathe. Minutes passed. The queen showed no signs of aggression. If anything, she seemed content. Her mandibles clicked softly in what might have been sleep sounds. The purring never stopped. Slowly, carefully, Jixon reached for the communicator on his wrist. His fingers found the emergency beacon, but hesitated. What would he report? Alien queen using me as furniture. Send help? The absurdity almost made him laugh, almost. Instead, he pressed the standard check-in code, the one that meant situation unusual but not immediately dangerous. Elsa's voice crackled through seconds later, fuzzy with sleep. Jixon? It's 0400. What's unusual? I have a visitor, he whispered. What kind of visitor? The royal kind. There was a pause. I'm coming over. Don't move. Wasn't planning on it. When Elsa arrived, she approached the tent with the caution of someone disarming a bomb. She unsealed the entrance slowly, and her datapad's light spilled inside. Her eyes widened. Oh my God, she breathed. That's Jixon. That's their matriarch. We've been watching the colony for a week, but she never appeared. They must have been hiding her. Great, why is she sleeping on me? Elsa crept closer, her scanner active. Body temperature. You're warmer than the ambient environment. Valarii are ectothermic. They regulate temperature externally. But this, she studied the readouts. This isn't just thermoregulation. Look at her chromatic patterns. Those colors indicate trust. Affection even. Affection? We've never interacted. Humans have a scent, Elsa said, her voice taking on that lecturer tone Jixon recognized. Pheromones. Maybe something in your biology read as non-threatening, safe, or maybe... She leaned in, eyes gleaming with scientific excitement. Maybe she's testing you. First contact from their perspective. You're alone, vulnerable, non-aggressive. The perfect subject. I'm not a subject, the Queen stirred. Her eyes opened fully, compound lenses catching the light like fractured rainbows. She looked at Elsa, then down at Jixon. Her mandibles parted and a sound emerged. Not threatening, but complex, layered, almost linguistic. Elsa's translator struggled, catching fragments. Warmth, safe, chosen. Chosen, Jixon echoed. The Queen's purring deepened. One of her hands, surprisingly dexterous, touched his face with the care of someone identifying something precious. Then, as gracefully as a departing monarch, she rose. Her massive form unfolded in the cramped tent, elegant despite her size. She regarded them both, her colors shifting to warm golds and soft greens. Then she was gone, slipping through the tent entrance like smoke. In the morning, the Valari colony approached the camp openly for the first time. They brought gifts, crystalline structures, woven materials, samples of their technology. Through careful translation, Elsa learned the truth. The Queen had been searching for proof that humans were what she suspected, beings who radiated warmth not just physically, but socially. Beings who could be trusted. Jixon's unconscious acceptance, his lack of violence even in vulnerability, had been the test. First contact, it turned out, wasn't made in conference rooms or with elaborate protocols. It was made in an empty tent, with a purring alien queen, and a very confused botanist who just wanted a good night's sleep.